So in my last video, I showed you how to clean 15 pounds of Uncle Lou's pre-cleaned chitlins and some hog maws. I also showed you how to sanitize your cleaning area in your kitchen before and after you handle the raw chitlins and pork stomachs or hog maws or punches, whatever you want to call them. And I will have a link to that video down below, so be sure to check that out. In this video, I'm going to show you how to prep your chitlins using two important steps before we actually cook them in the Instant Pot. I love to use my pressure cooker, and it's a great option for meat, including our chitlins and hog maws. So let's get to cooking. So now we have our clean hog maws and clean chitlins still in the vinegar water bowl that I put them in when I cleaned them, and I have my colander on the right. So I put my chitlins in there, and I'm just going to rinse them off in the colander. And then you might be wondering why I have this stovetop stock pot here when this is an Instant Pot recipe. We'll discuss that in just a second. I only have a couple of inches of water in it because the chitlins in my colander will have some water in it because I'm not going to drain them completely before I put them in this big pot. So I'm just adding all of my chitlins and my hog maws to my 12-quart stock pot made by the Pioneer Woman. Tip number one, we are going to peel a russet potato and put this in with our chitlins as they're boiling. This will help cut down on some of the funky smell that chitlins can have as they cook. So I have my chitlins and hog maws in my 12-quart pot on my stove. This is actually the second step. We're going to parboil these chitlins to get some of the funk off as well, and then rinse and drain them. So the potato is in there to absorb odors, and we're going to parboil it for 15 to 30 minutes, and we're going to discard the potato and drain the chitlins. I'm draining them now in my sink. So I have cold water running so that I don't put too much hot liquid down my sink, and then you just want to give it a quick rinse and shake it off. And I'm also using my tongs to pick up my potato. So if you give this potato a smell, it will smell like some raw chitlins. So we're going to discard this potato and then continue on with our clean chitlins that have now been parboiled. So we got some of the funk and some of the fat off of them, and we're doing that by giving them a rinse. So I have my Instant Pot ready with my unsalted chicken broth, my Lowry seasoned salt, granulated garlic, onion powder, and cayenne pepper. You can use the seasonings of your choice. There's a big variety of what you can do. This is just what I'm using today. So in my Instant Pot insert, I have about a half of a stick of butter. My unsalted broth, you can see it contains a very small amount of sodium. Regular broth would contain a whole lot more, hundreds more milligrams. I'm only using about a cup of broth in my Instant Pot because, as you notice, the chitlins from the colander will still have some of the water on it that I rinse them off with. So I'm going to put half of my chitlins and hog maws that have been parboiled into my Instant Pot, and only half at first because now I want to add seasoning. I'm going to add seasoning to this half so that I can make sure it's flavored through and through. So the amount of seasonings will be dependent upon your taste. For this half, I would say use a pinch or two of cayenne pepper, a teaspoon of onion powder, garlic powder, and maybe a fourth of a teaspoon of seasoned salt. And that's just for the first half. We are going to now add the second half of chitlins and hog maws, and we're going to add the same amount of seasons again on top. I just like to break it up this way so that I can make sure all my seasoning isn't just on top and I don't stir it well enough. Just add it in layers and season in layers. That's my preferred way of cooking. Of course, after these cooked, we're going to taste them and add more seasoning as needed. At this time, I am also adding about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And I have 2 stalks of celery that I washed and I just broke in half. I didn't dice these up because I'm cooking these for family that don't necessarily want vegetables in their chitlins, but I want the vegetable flavor that's slight but still delicious in it. So I'm going to put these pieces of celery and big pieces of onion in semi-whole so that I can pluck them out after my chitlins have cooked. But you absolutely can dice these up and just cook them down and eat them that way. So now I have everything prepared, and I have my insert placed into my actual Instant Pot, and it's ready to go. So I'm adding my lid on, and you want to make sure that your knob is on sealing. When it's finished, that's when we'll turn it to venting, but now you want to be sure it's turned to the top to sealing. To turn it on, I'm going to press the pressure cook button to high pressure for 1 hour and 20 minutes, which is 80 minutes total, and then it's going to beep on. I let it cook and then let it sit for 34 minutes on natural venting. And then I changed the lever to venting to get it to vent all the way. And notice the pin will drop on the right when all the pressure has released from the pressure cooker. And now it's safe to take off the lid. And so you can see what my chitlins look like after 80 minutes of cooking and about 30 so minutes of sitting. Look at how gorgeous they look. Now you can see the green bits, that's the celery, and the onion chunks are in there. And I'm just taking a moment to taste the pieces and see how it tastes, and then I'm using tongs to remove the celery. So remember, if you chop yours up into small pieces, then you can leave it in and it will be absolutely delicious. I decided to add more seasonings, and the dark seasoning you see, I added 2 tablespoons of poultry seasoning. It's vegan, but it tastes good on meat. I'm also adding about a tablespoon of hot sauce and mix that in because my family doesn't like a lot of heat, so I just add a little heat so then people can add their own at the end. So I'm taking out my chitlins with a slotted spoon, and you can see how they reduce down, and it's not a whole lot of liquid. So I don't want a whole lot of liquid in an Instant Pot, for one, because I don't want it to explode, but also I don't want to dilute the flavor of my delicious chitlins. So 1 cup was just enough. In addition to these beautiful chitlins, I also made a big pot of rice. I made my Southern style potato salad, and I made collard greens with smoked turkey. I have recipe videos for my greens and potato salad on this channel, and I like to add hot sauce and apple cider vinegar to my cooked chitlins. The small bowl was for me. In the 2 big bowls, I have rice on the bottom and chitlins on top. You can also add white vinegar instead of apple cider vinegar. That would be delicious as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and check out my other playlists